Adam Ray from BizNexus here with Stewart Guthrie today, business broker with Murphy Business, great franchise, and you're based in Sacramento, Stewart, right?
Correct, the Sacramento region.
Okay, great. So tell us a little bit about yourself. You're a business intermediary. What is that? What do you do?
Basically, I think the easiest way to describe it is that I am like a real estate agent, but for businesses. In other words, I help people buy and sell businesses.
Okay. And so you're focused on your area in Sacramento.
Yeah, it's definitely, I'm regionally focused. I know the area. I know the industries in the area. Sacramento is a government town, but there's lots of businesses out there that support the local industries.
Great. Yeah. And so I see you have an entrepreneur. I'm on your LinkedIn right now. So I'm stalking you here as we talk. You have an entrepreneurial background. You were a veteran, which is great. So thank you for your service. But maybe talk a little bit about your experience leading up to this, and how you got into business brokerage, being a business intermediary.
After I got out of the Marine Corps, I started into a series of typically technical sales type jobs. Industrial sales, telecommunications, material handling, food process, all sorts of things. Things that are kind of associated with California Central Valley and the North Central Valley. And then my wife and I have always had an entrepreneurial itch. And so we took an opportunity to purchase a business that was already an ongoing concern. It was a distribution business. Owned that for about 5 years, grew it, formalized it, cleaned it up. The prior owners did a terrific job. It was a really good business. It's very profitable, but put it this way, not everything they took out of the business could be documented. We kind of approached it differently. I think we had an end in mind, and the idea is to make sure we log everything, make sure the books are super clean. And we sold it at a considerable profit 5 years later.
That's great.
At that point, go ahead, please.
Is that your wheelhouse now? So, are you working with small businesses? Are you working with larger businesses? What do you focus on?
My focus would be on smaller businesses. These are businesses I think that are anywhere between, say, $500,000 in annual revenue up to about $5 million in annual revenue is kind of my sweet spot.
Perfect. So, I just want to clarify, because so you've been there, done that, right? And for me, that's one of the most important questions to ask if you're choosing a business broker. Why would I go with you, right? And you acquired a company and you grew it with your wife, who I believe is also a value builder. So you guys have this complementary operation now, which is really cool. Hopefully we get her on one of these. So you both went through the whole process together, and now you're just going out and helping people follow that same path. You go on the same journey.
Absolutely. I have to say that it's so exciting when you're out there and you're looking at, I had this opportunity, and basically go look at a business, say, I could grow that. In other words, you look at it where it is right now, it's in great shape, but man, I could build that. My wife is great operationally. I was good in sales. And so we went out and did that. And then, then after we sold that business, we came back and worked in it for a manufacturer's representative for a while in industrial sales. And then we saw another opportunity, and we jumped on and we grew a property management business. This time it was a franchise, and grew that out of the dirt. And I have to say that, we sold that 10 years later. Right. And that was, again, an exciting 2 different operations. I think people can be successful in both. I looked at the two and I kind of analyzed, and I think that between the two, I think I prefer buying an ongoing operation. Obviously I'm biased to that now. I'm paid to say that right now, but yeah, the fact is that it's easier to take over the controls in an airplane when it's already flying, as opposed to taking off. In other words, there's more things that happen when you're taking off that can go wrong when you're taking off than it is when it's already flying. And so that's kind of the way I view it. Obviously we had success in both. We're still married. That's always good.
Two businesses, that's no small feat. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that between the two, I mean, I totally encourage people to approach franchises. I think I have a lot of thoughts and I can have a lot of value in analyzing a franchise offering because I've been there, done that as well. Um, but between the two, if you can get an ongoing concern that has inbound revenues from day one, and you can look and you can see your way clear to how I can grow it, that's a great way to go about it.
Yeah, yeah. Buy then build.
Yes.
Great book by Walker Dybel. But that's, you know, I couldn't agree with you more. I think it's ironic because BizNexus is a startup, right? We're building something from scratch, but I've had the experience of buying a business, running it, selling it, and it's such a better play. If you can get into something that already has existing revenues, existing customers, existing cash flow, and then you can innovate from there, the success rates are a hell of a lot better than startups. I'll tell you that much.
Yes.
So with your background, and you've done this a couple times, so not your first rodeo. What's going on now, right? 2020, where July 10th, 2020, obviously this year has been unique, and it looks like it's going to continue to be just that through the end of the year.
I can't imagine what you're talking about.
I know. But seriously, with the pandemic, I think we had sellers with really high expectations going into all of this. And now you've got a lot of buyers out there looking for a COVID discount. We might have this huge pool of potential buyers coming to market. I mean, we already do. We've already seen them on BizNexus, but in terms of what we could be seeing through the rest of the year, you're going to be looking at people who, maybe they've been displaced, maybe they've lost a job, maybe they just don't want to go back to their old job after spending so much time working, from home and spending time with their family. They want to change things up. I guess, what are you seeing right now with the world of buying and selling a business? Why does it make sense, or why does it not make sense?
I think it makes sense. I think there was a lot of stuff that got pulled off the market because of the uncertainty. That's, yeah. I mean, and what we've seen is actually a lot more activity of people coming out and looking for businesses, people inquiries on business listings and things like that. Obviously, people are sitting at home with a fast internet connection and their mind starts to wander. That is human nature. In other words, people are looking for something that maybe they feel a little better about. And interestingly, in our market, Sacramento, I came out of the property management business, obviously. So, if the only tool you have is a hammer, every job looks like a nail, right? So, I look at where the money is going to come from for the acquisitions. And real quick primer on our market, we're very close to the San Francisco Bay Area. So what we end up with is a lot of people who are coming from the Bay, and obviously the appreciation in the Bay Area real estate is
insane,
mind-boggling.
It's another world.
It's another world. It's not real.
It's not.
Well, it's real, but I mean, it's definitely very strange. And so what you have is a lot of people who come over to the Sacramento market, and relative to the rest of the nation, I mean, you're in Boston, Adam, so you're more along the lines of a San Francisco type market. But yeah. Relative to the rest of the world, Sacramento is an expensive market, but relative to California, it's an inexpensive market. It's really close to the capital. It's an hour plus drive to the Bay Area. So you have a lot of people who are actually doing that commute. God help them. But they're doing that commute every day, and they're looking, and so they're high wage earners. They have a ton of appreciation in their houses because the housing in Sacramento continues to grow. So there's upward pressure. There's massive appreciation in the real estate market. Now you got these people who've been sitting around for 3 months, and they're frustrated with their job. Maybe they're getting laid off, or they get a package deal to, a mid-level manager, upper-level manager says, look, we can't keep you on board, love you, but we can't keep you. Now maybe they're sitting on a pile of cash from a severance package, and they've got appreciation. I think that's going to drive a lot of sales for people looking for a small business when they say, look, I'm not going to be dependent on another company for my own well-being again. That's a working theory. We'll find out if it's right or not.
Interesting. And with your sweet spot, you're really looking at paying a multiple of 2-3 times cash flow to get into one of these things, right? To acquire a successful business.
Right.
And so how does that look from a funding standpoint? SBA, for people who don't know, you can get up to $5 million with an SBA loan, with a government-backed loan. Are people still getting loans out there? I mean, that hasn't been interrupted.
They absolutely are. And I mean, and in conversations with SBA lenders, with government's intent to try to keep the economy going, they're even talking about increasing loan amounts. There's all sorts of things, adjustments that they're looking at making to the SBA.
They're throwing the book at it. Yeah,
they really are. And which I think if there's any one place that the government could be supporting the economy, it's helping small businesses, because they're really the driver of the economy in terms of employment, things like that.
Yeah, it's over 50% of the payroll of the U.S.
Totally.
Small business. Yeah,
right. And so you have SBA lenders that are we talked to them. They said, look, we're aware of what's been happening out there in the marketplace, and so they've specifically said, we're doing our best. I mean, in one particular conversation, I have to believe this one SBA lender, they're pretty smart guys. They know what their other competitors are doing. They're out there looking, saying, look, we know that we need to kind of set aside cash flow for the first part of 2020. They realized that in evaluation, it would not be fair to evaluate, in 2021, a business transaction is concluding and they're trying to evaluate the cash flows. It's not fair to evaluate 2021 as if there was just this massive dip in productivity and revenues in the company without accounting for that. They can't ignore it, but they also understand that there's a reason for that, and it was out of the business. It didn't have to do with the fundamentals of the business, put it that way.
Right.
And I think that's laudable.
Yeah, I think there'll be some negotiating, right? I mean, you've got the sellers who are still living in a pre-COVID world, and then you've got buyers who want some sort of COVID discount if they can get it, and somewhere in the middle lies a transaction, right?
Not always the case, isn't it?
Yeah. I think it will continue to be so as long as this is going on. Well, I think, okay, so this is great. How do we get a hold of you?
My email is s.guthrie@murphybusiness.com.
Mm-hmm.
And Guthrie is spelled Guthrie. And then the phone number is 916-600-7467.
Okay, great. And we'll put all the relevant links. If you're listening to this on a podcast, you can just check the podcast notes and you'll have the links for Stewart's website and the complex URL that goes along with that, and his contact info. And if you're reading this on the blog and watching the video or in social, we'll have those comments in the comments feed as well. So Stewart, thank you for showing up today. We're going to do more of these, so hope you'll come back on. But if you're a small business owner or a potential buyer anywhere in the Sacramento, California area, Stewart Guthrie, he's your guy. And very, very happy to have you on the program today. Thanks.